The last time he flirted with danger, danger got clingy. When racing through the woods, trees move out of his way. When in Rome, they do as he does. Mosquitoes refuse to bite him, purely out of respect. He is the most interesting man on YouTube, and this is the season finale show. Hosted by Drew Burgundy.
Let's get the show started. No, I do not actually think I'm Ron Burgundy. The name Drew Burgundy came from my loving wife and my best friend Taco. I tend to have this tone, if you will, when I explain things, and they call me out for it. They say I'm very news anchor, and they deemed me Drew Burgundy because of the way I explain things. Apparently the way I present information, I speak to you like you are a straight up dumbass. And this is where the idea of me being a news anchor such as Ron Burgundy delivering you this piece of information like you were a complete dumbass. So that's what we're going to do today. However, I'm well aware Ron Burgundy did not have a beard. He just had the stash. I've noticed you can hardly see the mustache when I drink Jaeger. We're going to fill that up again. Welcome to the finale. NYOA 22 has come to an end. It was a great season. We had a lot of fun this year. A lot of changes have been made. NYOA released some important information that I'm going to share with you now. This week, here we are, early December, and news has come out that a lot is going to change for 2023. The board, the committee, NYOA, has actually listened to what you guys wanted and have made changes. Unfortunately, some of those changes don't sit well with others. And I get it, not everybody's going to be happy. First off, this video is more directed towards the ATV crowd. I don't ride dirt bikes, and I understand there's a lot of concerns on the dirt bike side that I don't know about. I'm not part of that class. I'm not part of that series. So the dirt bike series, you guys are your own people. I'm referring to the ATV crowd in the afternoon. There's some changes that affect us, including our lineup and other things. But first off, that affects everybody is the price increase. I know a lot of people struggle to get to these races. I know it costs a lot of money to go racing. I spend it too. None of us are pro athletes. None of us are getting paid to do cross-country racing here in New York State. I say none of us. I'm going to eat those words because there's maybe one or two. Respect. The mystery drink, leave in the comments what you think's in here. I gotta have a little consumption to get going on these videos, otherwise they're not feel good, Clark. Price increases, it had to be done. They haven't been raised in 4 years, and in that time period, across the entire world, mostly our country has experienced inflation. But the fact remains that NYOA had to increase their prices to keep up with inflation. I know it hits home, I know it hits hard on the wallet. We're all struggling to make some of these races. It's not easy, I get that. But these price increases are necessary. And they're necessary to keep the series alive. Without these increases, they just simply can't afford to put on races for us. And then we have nothing. And I want to stress on that. We have nothing else besides NYOA in the great northeast of the United States of America. NYOA is your premier AMA cross-country series. Let that sink in. If you lose that, all the people that travel from New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, other states actually have athletes that come to our state just to compete in this cross-country championship every summer. If we lose that, we're losing talent, and they have nowhere to go. The GNCC series, if you want to race that competitively, you have to hit every race, and that's a lot of travel, a lot of money. So you can easily spend way more money trying to attend every race for another series. NYOA, we thank you for all the work you've done. We want to support the series the best we can. And if that means paying an extra $5, $10 at the gate, I'm going to do it. Next topic. NYOA does listen to the concerns and the comments that all the racers and the race teams make. They take in all of that information, and at the end of the year, they make certain decisions to improve the race series. Does every decision they make sit well with the entire community? No. This year we had some race format changes, and a couple things were taken into consideration. The safety. That was the number one concern. The committee is actually looking out for the safety of the racer. I don't know why you would want it any other way. That's the person that takes priority. That's the person that it all matters for. That's why the track is built there. That's why the parking was developed. That's why the insurance was paid. That's why the EMTs are on standby. That racer on that track is the sole purpose for having all of it. So when they make safety requests, the committee listens, and if a track isn't meeting those requirements, those requests, then they address it. And unfortunately, we lost 2 promoters this year, 2 tracks this year, because of that. Safety concerns unfortunately dropped Big Buck and Broome Tioga. Now, I personally skipped Broome Tioga this year because I'm not a fan of that track. They don't really address any of the worn out spots of the track, so you're dragging frame a lot of the track. The parking is horrendous. For a large event like NYOA, and we are a large series, they don't have the necessary parking. If we lose all these tracks, if we lose all these promoters, we're gonna have nothing. So I don't want to see any of them go. In fact, I'd love to see more of them come on board. And it's gonna bring me to my next subject. We're gonna come up to the schedule, and the schedule is actually suffering because we're losing tracks like that. So format changes, they do take a look at speed differentials across all the lines, and they're gonna do this to determine who should line up where. But what they're actually targeting is 27 to 28 minute lap times. Depending on what class you're in, your lap times are gonna vary. But they wanna take an overall average, and that's just an overall time to give you an idea of how long tracks should be, how long it's taking each ability level to get through that course. So with that, they're gonna base the target time on 10 riders. They're gonna take the overall average for your class, all 10 guys, and that's gonna determine your place for your overall lap time. Multiple lines to avoid bottlenecks. This has been a huge controversy for years where they've got a real tricky spot, and the way they organized the lines, they had slower riders in front of faster riders who couldn't get through a bottleneck section, and we'll just say it like it's a hang-up section, multiple guys get stuck. They're gonna recognize those situations on the racetrack. They're gonna provide you multiple lines through those areas. Hopefully that'll alleviate some of the bottlenecks and hopefully alleviate some of the time wasted on your early laps and get you going into the race pace that you need. Take a TV timeout for the Jaeger. Somehow I gotta get sponsored by Jaeger. That would be amazing. Do you think Jägermeister would actually, it hasn't been since the 80s that alcohol actually sponsored motorsports. We had Campbell cigarettes and Supercross, and Coors Light was big in NASCAR, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but Jägermeister needs to get into cross-country racing, and the flagship, Drew Campbell, I'll be happy to carry that one. Not the flag, the bottle. Next up is passing changes. NYOA came out with some new rules this year, and they highlighted them in yellow on the website. If you want to check them out for yourself, NYOA.net, check them out. They're all in yellow, easy to read. I'll put them up on the screen right now. If you're being passed, this was a big issue with a lot of classes this year, and it had something to do with the class structure. The way the ATV adult classes were lined up in the afternoon, you had slower riders in front of faster riders. Once you are aware there is a person behind you and you hear them and they are not in your class, we ask you to be courteous and let them pass. Hopefully we don't have to deal with these situations this year because NYOA listened to you guys and lined us up according to overall lap times. Again, that's your overall, not your top 3, it's your overall class lap time is now going to structure the class lineup that we see in the ATV class in the afternoon. Next up is line changes. So a lot of us are forced to pick a new number this year because the row we're lined up in this year is actually going to be the first 2 digits of our number. For example, row 2 starts in the 200s, and row 10, which I'm in, starts in the 1000s. So we have to pick a number between 10 and 1099 for the 4x4 class. Take a guess what number I'm going to pick. With the 4x4 class moving up to the 10th row, it does bring up the next subject. They split our class this year. NYOA decided we had a large spectrum of talent and abilities across the board in the 4x4 class, and they decided to finally split us up. We haven't seen this in this state championship since 2017 when they had a 4x4 lights class and a 4x4 class. They went back to that concept, but it's more 4x4 class is row 10. They're your faster guys. They're actually going to call it the utility class. It's your slower guys, and they're going to actually put them back to row 17 in the 1700 row, just ahead of first year C. We do see across the many other series a lot of inexperienced 4x4 racers dabbling in the sport, getting their feet wet. I was one of those guys just a few years ago myself. It's a great class if you want to come out and try racing. You don't have to go up against the best in the state. You don't have to go up against the best in the country. You have to go up against guys wanting to learn cross-country racing. They have a 4x4 and they're looking to just have some fun. That concludes all the new updates going on with NYOA. Next big thing for NYOA is our banquet in late January at a water park in Pennsylvania. Should I do a vlog? I want to see this sport grow. I want to see recognition for the series, NYOA, so that it does not die. We need to keep it alive and well, bring in promoters, bring in sponsors, bring in landowners, and let's see more than 10 races next year. Let's see 12 or 15. That'd be awesome. So, with that said, support the series. Let's move on to the 4x4 class overall finish. If you remember back in the spring, I did a video, the first Drew Burgundy video, and I kind of picked my top 3 for the 4x4 class. I was almost right. I picked Mark Potter as being in the top 3, and Mark Potter won the championship. So I was close. I was close. The guy I picked for the championship, Colin Markowski, runs multiple series, one of them being GNCC, and that was a very important championship for him in 4x4B. He had mechanicals in the NYOA series that really kept him from that championship hunt, and if it weren't for those mechanicals, I truly do believe that Colin would have been up front most of the year. But he wasn't there. For whatever reason, quad wouldn't work, Can-Am had problems. Let's take a sip of Jaeger. So I truly believe that Colin had the speed to win this year's championship, but we had a returning contender, Mark Potter. And if anybody questions why the 4x4 class should be in the 10th row and not further back, it's because of guys like Mark Potter. It's also because of guys like Dan, Guns, Honak, oh God. Katie, I'm sorry, you married into that family. Honaki, he kind of stuck his head in there as well. And Mike Barone. These guys finished in your top 20th, or if not 25th percentile every race. So what does that mean? It means if you got 200 racers every weekend, the top 3 guys in the 4x4 class are in the top 50. That's your top 25 percentile. So the 4x4 class deserves to be further up than some of these other classes where there may be some controversy on the lineup, but they are factoring in the overall, and those faster guys in our class have contributed to that overall. So Mark Potter is one of those guys, and Mark actually finished, I got notes on a yellow piece of paper. Mustache. Mark Potter actually finished 42nd out of 188 racers that qualified for the New York State Championship. And real quick, I just want to point out, that's 2 better than you, Missy. Mark Potter should just stay home. I think he'd make a real good cheerleader, promoter, like, go guys, go wife, go kid. Just, I don't know how many more years he has in front of him of winning. Congrats on the championship, buddy. Let's hope he stays home and supports Mason and Missy this year. The neighbor, the older neighbor on Family Guy. Time to make your peeps and poops, Jesse. That's nice. Get your fat dimply ass over here, boy. That's nice. I love that whistle that he does. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you at the races. Oh my God. I look like I'm an out-of-work porn star. Soon to be out-of-work porn star. I look like Ned Flanders from The Simpsons. I look like an usher at every wedding I've ever been to. God, I look like a guy named Pat Burns. And I don't even know anyone named Pat Burns, but that's what Pat Burns would look like. I look like I drive a van that has free candy painted on the side of it. A new look for me. I don't know about the mustache, but Ron, the legendary Burgundy, had one, so we're gonna give it a go. It just looks like my upper lip is dirty. Yeah. He has the most dirty upper lip in the world. Yeah.